Thank you all. So, they have given me this opportunity to address you all. So I must thank them. And I come to know that this is the first lecture in this series for this particular year. So it's an added honor to be here. And so many students are outside. Initially I thought that all the students have come out to see me entering. I really feel very sorry about them. I thought that we will ask the organizers to accommodate them in whatever empty space here it is. But there is no chance of doing that also. So it's okay. They have to be, I don't know, I am not able to face them. That is somewhat pinching me, but it's all right. One has to live with that. Okay, so coming to this particular topic, since we have all gone through the school education system, and therefore you know it much better than me, because we had, for us, school physics education is a kind of extra activity or a part-time thing that we do, but you have done it recently in these 3-4 years, and therefore you know the problems. And this particular topic was also suggested by the team that I speak on this topic only. So, okay, I'll give it a try. Now, first thing is, what is that? I'll do it from there only. Huh? Otherwise, every time I have to look at that little thing. So, first thing is that what is the goal of education? There may be many things which are there, which can be कैसे करें ना, आप इस तरफ आ जाइए so that आपको screen दिखाई पड़ेगा. Okay, let me introduce. He is my elder brother, Dr. HC Verma. And he is 18 years older than me. Okay, and you know my age. The coordinator has already announced that. Okay, so you know my age plus 18. He is a mathematician. He was professor and head mathematics department, Patna University. Okay, so that goal can be defined in many different ways, because there are many different aspects, and depends on what aspect you are thinking, there will be a goal of education. And I have picked up this one: to equip the person to live happily with the nature. But what is happening here is something very different, and that is to equip person live unhappily and ruining the nature. That's what our system is doing, and there are many things which can be talked about. This nature is extremely important for us. We are living on this planet Earth, and this is a so special place in the whole of the universe. We know we are in a very tiny corner of this galaxy, Milky Way. And only in this small, in the Milky Way galaxy also, only in this small tiny part called planet, there is life, there are emotions, there are wisdom and all those things. And any indication of second place where there could be a life excites the community so much. Okay, so special we are, so special this planet is, and so special this nature is. And therefore, we have to live happily with the nature. But what we are doing in our system, we are ruining the nature, and that's a very serious issue. And education must target that the people who are educated, the people who go through the education system, they must realize this, that this prime thing that we conserve, we make our planet place where this life can be sustained, can be retained, and it's not that it just becomes a history in the point. Okay. Now, in mathematics, we have a topic called sets, and there are varieties of sets which are introduced there, a null set and union of set, intersection of set, and so on, so on. And one word is mutually exclusive set. So if you have to give the example of mutually exclusive set, one very good example is education and life. Okay, education and life, mutually exclusive set. I give you an example. There are many things which can be taken as symbol of national integrity. Whether you are in TN, Tamil Nadu, whether you are in Jammu Kashmir, whether you are in Mumbai or West Bengal, or a small town, big town, private school, or a government school, rural area, urban area. When children go to their first schooling, standard 1 or maybe KG, they are asked to draw a diagram showing a house. Okay? So everywhere this is taught, and this house looks like this. Right? So I was sitting with a professor of biology, biosciences in IIT Kanpur, who happened to be chairman of our campus school, class 1 to 5. And in his chamber there were several drawings, paintings were there on the walls, and he very proudly said that, look, our campus school children have made this, class children or KG children had made it. And most of them had this 2 vertical lines, 2 slant lines. Okay, 2 vertical lines, 2 slant. This is the house. It is a symbol of national integrity. No matter no matter where you are, no matter what kind of community you are working with, the schools, KG, nursery, class 1, you can see these kind of houses on the walls of this. So I asked that professor in charge of campus school that in whole of the IIT Kanpur campus, we do not have houses with slant lines, we have houses like this. The child who is 3 years old, 4 years old, had never seen a house with those kinds of slanted lines, has only seen the houses with horizontal lines, flat planes. Okay, but education and life, mutually exclusive set. When you are in education system, when you are in schools, house is defined in this way. When you go for living your life outside this education system, the house is defined like this. It's very, very difficult. There are many stories. We have a professor in material science, Sandeep Sangal. Okay, and his daughter, when she went to campus school in class 1, very excited, she was going to school and all that, knew that professor of IIT Kanpur, all the time excited about the laptops and all those things, and all the time talking, so many people coming to house, everyone. So the little girl also was very excited for her first schooling. So in the very first week, she was given a lesson by the teacher, and that lesson, that particular lesson had the theme, who carries what? Like postman carries letters. So in that lesson there were several examples of that kind, and after that there were some questions. So after every chapter in the textbook there are some questions written at the end. And the goal of teacher is to equip the student to solve those questions which are given at the end of the chapter. So after this lesson, that teacher gave homework to the children and asked to write answers of those 4 questions which were there at the end of the chapter. And this little girl named Bulbul, she came home very happily. First thing she did, opened that book and notebook and started reading the question and answering. And both the parents were sitting on the 2 sides looking into the notebook. Parents are very excited. When the children do something, they say, okay, this is, she is or he is the best child of the world, and so on and so forth. So both of them are looking into it, what she is doing, what she will do now, and so that, and so on. There was a question. My father carries, and then empty space to be filled in. Bulbul took some 10-12 seconds to think what to write, and then she wrote L, A, P, T, O, T. That is what she has seen all the time. The IIT professors will not be seen without laptop. My laptop is in this bag. And the parents were very happy. And Dr. Sangal and his wife Rita Singh were very happy. Okay, very intelligent answer. But what happens next day? Next day she goes to school, and the teacher asks, remember, it's a 30 minutes period. Okay? It's a 30 minutes period, and there are 40 children sitting. Right? So, bahut nainsafi hai. It is 30 minutes period, 40 children sitting. Each child has to, must have written ideally 4 answers, 4 questions. So a total of some 160 answers are there for those 30 minutes, and not for those 30 minutes because she has to go to the other lesson also, next lesson also. So what the teacher will do? She gave a collective address. How many of you have done all the 4 questions? So there were some hands, raise your hand, some hands were raised, and then she gave a pat on the back. Oh, that's very nice, and you should continue like this and that, and blah, 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 blah. Then how many of you have done 1 question only, and so on. So in 5-10 minutes, 7 minutes, she wrapped up the thing and said, for those who have not done, let me write the answers. And then she wrote answers on the board, and for that particular question, she wrote, my father carries umbrella. It's very natural. It's very natural. A primary school teacher's father can only carry umbrella. All right. Now comes the serious message. Now comes the serious message. This 5-year-old Bulbul, she looks at the board, opens the drawing box, takes out the eraser, erases laptop from the notebook and writes their umbrella. Write their umbrella. Laptop is wrong in the school. Laptop is correct in the house. Outside the school it is laptop, inside the school it is umbrella. So that's the kind of mutually exclusive set we are working with. So these are the problems of school education which persist for quite some time. So now experiments. People say that experiments are to be focused. People should do in science, they should do experiments and all that. But what kind of experiments? I did my higher school sometimes in 1967, and I did this experiment. Okay? And the people who are in high school, 2017, they are also doing this experiment. In half the century, 50, 60 years, the world has advanced. India has so much of progress, but our school education is still stuck with find the value of G. Why should I? Why should I find the G? I know the value of G. I know the value of G. Why should I find the G? But everyone in India, everyone in high school in India will be asked to find the value of G. Okay, so these are the kind of so-called experiments to connect science with reality and all those experiments. So that is also of these kinds. So no point doing these kind of things. Then the other problem where we are going wrong with our school education, especially in upper primary and high school, those formative years, our central theme is how to answer questions. The whole education system, the teachers are telling, the tutors are telling, the coaching institutes are telling how to answer questions. This is the kind of question, this is the kind of answer it should be. If this is the kind of question, this is the kind of answer it should be. Books, help books with titles, 5,000 questions solved. They are sold like hotcakes. Oh, 5,000. So people will write to me, sir, where can I find solutions of your concepts of physics problems? They are very difficult. So where are the solutions? So the entire focus is finding answers to the question, how the knowledge will advance. How the knowledge will advance, how the science will go up. So this answering question is something which should not be at the center. What it should be, how to ask questions. How to ask questions. If new questions are originating in minds, then only the knowledge will be advanced. If the same questions which had been written in textbooks, which are there in market, which are there in the system, if those same questions are answered in our system, in our schools, in our institutions, then the knowledge is not going to advance, but the world will advance. And the school system is not preparing, not empowering the student to face the world, or to live in the world, or to contribute in the betterment of the world. So the central theme should be how to ask questions. Yesterday I was in Pondicherry, and yesterday I was giving a camp, training, so-called training to school teachers. Okay. Now in chemistry book, there are science teachers. In upper primary, you don't have physics and chemistry separate. So there are science teachers. So in the chemistry chapter, they know that there is an atom, and then there are electrons which are going around the nucleus. The nucleus has certain protons and certain neutrons. Helium is the second in periodic table. They know everything. Whatever is written in the textbook, they know. So in the chemistry chapter, it's written about alpha particle, that gold. Which experiment? Rutherford's gold foil experiment with alpha particles. Now, the Rutherford did not do the experiment, by the way. It's called Rutherford's experiment, but Rutherford never did that experiment. That experiment was reported in a philosophical magazine, 1909. You can Google search and find that original paper. The experiment was done by two persons. One was Geiger and one was Marsden. But anyway, fine. It was in the Rutherford's laboratory. Rutherford was in charge of the laboratory. So it is called so it is popularly known as Rutherford's experiment, and is popularly known as Rutherford's gold foil experiment. If you look at that article which Geiger and Marston had published in Philosophical Magazine, they used 9 different metals in that experiment, including copper and aluminium and whatnot. But popularly, people have picked up gold only because gold is precious, because gold is prestigious, so it's called gold foil experiment. So whatever. So that alpha particle is there in their chemistry book, and they know very well. When I ask, they know very well there are 2 protons and 2 neutrons in alpha particle. Then there is another chapter on energy. So energy produced in sun is 3-4 chapters apart. There they say that in the core of the sun, hydrogen is being converted into helium and the energy is produced. They know it very well. They knew it very well. Now, the question I asked was, a helium nucleus has 2 protons and 2 neutrons, and hydrogen has only protons. So, if 4 hydrogen nuclei somehow conspire to make a helium nucleus, there are 4 protons. Where are those neutrons coming from? There are no neutrons to start with. Your hydrogen is only proton, 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 proton. Electrons are detached at that high temperature, but anyway they are there in the vicinity at least, but there are no neutrons. Okay? So when it makes helium, and helium nucleus must have 2 protons and 2 neutrons. If there are 4 protons, it will become beryllium. Of course, the nucleus will not be stable, but with 4 protons it is beryllium, it's not helium. Now these teachers were all shocked. Okay? Now my worry is why this question did not occur to any of the teachers. This question should have occurred, right? This question should have occurred. If you order idli and you don't get sambar, you immediately question, where is my sambar? But here no one is worried. No one is worried. You can create neutrons, and if it is not there, no matter how it comes. So in one chapter they are very particular. There has to be 2 neutrons there and 2 protons there. Another chapter they say that hydrogen is converting to helium. But then no connection between these chapters, because connections, relations are made in real life, and education is not real life. Okay? So no need of making relations between 2 different chapters, which are 4 chapters apart from each other, or 20 pages apart from each other. Okay? No one is worried about that. Questions must appear in mind. Questions appear, and the fertile ground for these new questions coming up are younger people, are students. Teachers somehow have lost that capability of questions germinating in mind. Students have that, and teachers or our education system, high school, intermediate, upper primary education system, that puts a lot of chemical manure into the mind, which kills all those fertile things, and you also gradually lose the capability of asking new questions. New questions are not coming up. In any college you see first year students and fourth year students. How many questions the first year students ask, and how many questions the fourth year students ask? Right? In schools, colleges, degree colleges, institutions, engineering colleges, as more and more you are in system, more and more those thinking cells become dormant. Okay? When I was in Patna Science College, first year, there the geography is, physics department is here, it's a degree college, physics department is here, chemistry is there, and English is, literature is there, and so on, different things. So the students have to change buildings. After every period, they have to change buildings. And 5 minutes time is given for that only. 9 to 9:55 will be period, and then 10 to 55 will be period. 5 minutes are given. When first year students are admitted, on the roads connecting these buildings, every hour, it's a periodic motion, periodic phenomena. Every hour you will see students running from one building to other building. Every hour, every 1 hour, students, a whole crowd of students running on those roads to go to that new building, sit there on the front bench, and so on. 1 month later, that running is converted into brisk walking. Another 2 months, that brisk walking becomes slow strolling, just strolling. And after 6 months, you don't see any movement. Hardly you see any movement. Hardly you see any movement. More you are in the education system, more you are indifferent to questions. No new questions. So that's a big thing where we are going wrong. And teachers always shy away. If there are new questions, I will not be knowing the answer, then what I will do? So in my camps, in my workshop, I make it a point that at least once in a day, 3-4 hours of, after 3-4 hours of interaction, at least once I have to say that, oh, I do not know this. Okay, now the teacher says, oh, HC Verma does not know this. And then I will act as if I am trying to work out answer, and then oh yes, it is like this. So that teachers also don't feel shy in saying that I do not know. Okay, it's a big hurdle. Now school colleges are called temples of learning. There's a very nice analogy. This is a very nice, that word temple and learning is very nice analogy. Okay, so school colleges are temples of learning. We have temples for temples of gods also, right? So we have hundreds of thousands of temples of God in India. We have hundreds of thousands of temples of learning in India, right? Now, of these hundreds of thousands of temples of God, there are only few, right? There are only few which you can count on fingers where there is an spiritual enlightenment. You go there and you feel some energy is coming in. You go there, you feel that your sorrows are melting down. You go there and you feel a divine peace of mind. But how many of them are there? How many of them are there? Very, very few, right? You can count on fingers. The rest of the temples, it becomes a ritual only, okay? A ritual only. You have to do this kind of arati, and you have to put flowers at this place, and you have to light that incense stick at this place, and you have to do 4 times or 7 times go round that building, parikrama, all those things. So it becomes a ritual. A person visits that place, comes out, okay, some small temporary short lifetime changes are there for few minutes or few hours or maybe a day or so, and after that it again becomes the same. So vast majority of our temples of God are doing these rituals, some chanting of some mantras, and without knowing the meaning and without experiencing that. We have hundreds of thousands of temples of learning in India. There are only few, like the place you are sitting in. There are only few where you have some educational enlightenment. where you learn new things, when you learn to create new things. Not only you learn new things. You learn new things, that is fine, that's new for you, but it was not new for your professor. Okay? But you learn to create new things. That's the game. You learn to create new things which is new for your professors also. There are only few such temples of learning where you have this enlightenment of education. And the vast majority of these schools, colleges, institutions, which we call temples of learning, we do rituals only, the chanting of mantras only. Om Bhur Bhuvah Tat Savitur Varenyam. Half mb square plus mgh plus rho r. Okay. A whole list of mantras are given. This is called Bernoulli's mantra. You have all kinds of Ganesha Stuti and Saraswati Vandana and Vishnu Strot. So you have all kinds of mantras, Bernoulli's and Faraday's and Einstein and Bose and this and that. Varieties of mantras are there, and you are supposed to chant all those things again and again, till the examination is over. Till the examination is over. So to come out, the education system has to come out from that. The rituals are to be converted into actual enlightenment, and that is how the system will be effective. Okay? The whole process of our school system is very, very unnatural. When is your period for physics course? What time to what time? Morning 8 to 9? No. Then
it is
normally
8 to 1 p.m.
Physics course. In this semester, physics course. Do you have a physics course? Okay. What time it is? 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11?
8 to 9, 10 to 11 this time.
10 to 11 is the physics course. Fixed boundary condition. You cannot learn physics beyond that. There is a particular lecture hall in which the physics will be learned. In no other hall you can learn physics. And sometimes in the school system, children are assigned seats. Roll number 1 will sit here, roll number 2 will sit here, roll number 17 will sit here. When Lord Buddha sat under that particular tree in Bodh Gaya, then only things entered the mind. So these chairs are like those special trees. Only when you sit there, you will get all those things, otherwise you will not. Very, very fixed boundary conditions. But that is not the natural process of learning. The natural process is when it comes naturally, the same classroom and the same teacher. Okay? Right? So what is the natural process of learning? This is a natural process of learning. In the first 3 years, 0 to 3 years, how much a child learns? Just think of it. We have all gone through that 0 to 3 years period. Now we do not have memories of that. How did we learn the language that was spoken in our family? In 0 to 3 years, every child learns one full language, whatever language is spoken in the family. Was there a teacher appointed for that language? Was there a course developed for learning that language? In the 0 to 6 months, the child must learn 10 names of 10 fruits and 5 flowers, and next 3 months term or semester, the child should learn this much of grammar or punctuations. Was there a course designed? Was there a place assigned that sit here and learn that language? Was there an examination after every 6 months? There will be an examination of the child. So in 3 years there will be 6 examinations, and if you fail in the examination, the whole course has to be repeated from the beginning. Nothing of that sort was done. Nothing of that sort was done. And still, every child learns one full language, and to make the child learn the second language, teachers struggle for years and years and years and years. Lot of mathematics, lot of face recognition, lot of social behavior, how to, a child always never confuses in who is mom, who is aunt, or who is mom, who is father. Everyone has two ears and 2 eyes and 1 nose and a few hairs and all these things. How come the child learned it that this is female and this is male, and this is mom and this is father? How come? How did the child learn that? That's the natural process of learning. The parents, the siblings, the grandfathers, the grandmothers, the neighbors, the flowers, the air, the water which is flowing through the tap, all these things are teaching the child. That's the natural process of learning. The child is learning from the environment. The child is learning from the life. Life and education are absolutely intermingled. There's no distinction between life and education. The education is coming from the life itself. Every object in the vicinity is teaching the child, and the child comes up with so much of great knowledge in this 0 to 3 years. And after that, 3 years onward, you put them in fixed boundary conditions. The learning has to go through the teacher only. And what you have to learn, the one which CBSE has prescribed in the NC. There was absolutely no course designed for 0 to 3 years. You want to learn geography? Fine. You see the sunrise, you see the sunset, you see the river flowing, and you see the terrain, and you learn geography. If you want to learn biosciences, fine, mathematics, fine, language, fine. There is nothing imposed. But here, what is written in NCERT, only that has to be taught, and that has to go through the teacher only. Then only you can do that. These are the kinds of problems that we have. Okay, so I have learned some lessons very hard way during this 38 years of my interaction with students. One is science learning must be in tune with the lifestyle that you are living. We talked about concepts of physics. There is nothing very special about concepts of physics as far as physics is concerned. Resnick-Halliday book is an excellent textbook for physics. There was no need to bring in any other book at that level. Okay? The only problem was I tried to use this Resnick-Halliday as a textbook, as the main textbook for my class 11, 12 teaching at Patna Science College. And 3-4 years I failed. First I doubted my own capability of delivery, but then in 3-4 years I learned that no, in school system where the children are not that matured, the science cannot be told in isolation with lifestyle. The kind of life our children are living, the kind of environment you are in, the science has to be packaged in that. And that is what I tried to do in concepts of physics, and it was welcomed by the community. Okay, that is how this concepts of physics came. And experiment should be integral part of science teaching, but then it should be experiment. You know, when you fell ill and you go to a doctor gives medicine, and 2 days pass, you take the medicine and nothing good comes out. Then you go to the doctor again, and the doctor says, okay, this medicine did not work. Okay, fine, take this medicine, and then this medicine, and this medicine. Then your comment is, the doctor knows nothing, he is only experimenting on me. That is the meaning of experiment. That is the meaning of experiment. Experiment means I do not know the result. I have to experiment and see what it is. Okay? But in our experiments in school system, all results are known. Okay? So experiments in their true sense must be an integral part of science teaching, where experiments are done where we do not know the result. Even the teacher does not know the result. The teachers, the students, the administration, the management, they have to make a team. The learning is because of that team. A child learns so much in 0 to 3 years because all the educators make a team. Parents, father, mother, grandmother, sister, sibling, neighbor, nature. Everyone makes a team to teach the child. So here also it has to be a teamwork, and then new such experiments should be designed, such experiments should be brought in and put together in our system, and that is what we are trying to do right now. That is, my agenda is even parallel to the IIT Kanpur mandate. I had been doing that, these experiments, designing experiments and doing this teachers camps and so on and so forth. There are hundreds of such pictures. This is the picture from Karaikal. Okay, near Pondicherry you have Karaikal, and this is school physics teacher. When we were talking of magnets and electromagnets, and I told that if it is a magnet, there should be magnetic field lines. So can we see the magnetic field lines at least qualitatively? So the current was passed in that, and then lot of pins were there, and I thought just dip and see what happens. And all the teachers did this, and some of the teachers who got this kind of line, they were having that divine enlightenment. There was a permanent peace of mind. Darshanam. They had darshanam. They could see that magnetic field lines. So this is the kind of things we are doing, sitting on the floor, working together, doing some new experiment, designing some things. So these are the kind of things which I am in and trying to, at my own personal level, trying to make amendments in this school system where we are going wrong. This is from Jammu Kashmir, and the day these people are doing experiments here, on that particular day, the temperature in Srinagar was -7 degrees during day hours. Outside there was snowfall, a lot of snow was there, and inside we were doing all these experiments and all those things. This particular person on the top left with a funnel as a cap is a joint director of education department, joint director. He was there during all our camps, and when he saw that people are so happy wearing this cap, looking into the mirror as where is yellow, where is, so he came to me, can I also do that? Most welcome, please do. So he is the joint director. So we are trying to change these temples of learning into actual educational enlightenment centers. That is what I do. Questions must arise. Deeper analysis should be done. Self-thinking. Don't ask for solutions. Don't ask for tutors, helpers. The professors are there. That's the legitimate person from whom you can take help. All right. But that is also, remember, that is also an assistance. The actual learning comes from self-thinking. So those cells are to be activated. So that self-thinking part has to be done. And your goal should be high. Getting admission into IIT system or getting a good grade card is not high goal. Remember, grade cards have a small half-life. During my school days, my grade cards always had 3 red lines under marks. There are 2 columns, subject and marks, and in the marks column the marks are entered, and then some red lines are put there if the marks is less than the F grade, D grade boundary cutoff, which in school system it is 30%. Okay, in my school grade cards almost always in all annual examinations had 3 red marks. That means in 3 of the subjects my marks was less than 30%. In my school there was a rule or norm or clause that if a student fails in 3 or less number of subjects, he or she will be promoted to the next class and will not be asked to repeat the course. And I made full advantage of that law. And when I was at IIT Kanpur, Professor Mani was my teacher there, my professor there. He taught me quantum mechanics too. The grade card is 9.9 by 10. I just missed 10 by 10. So what? So what? Did Hari Krishna know that? Did your EML coordinator know that I had 9.9 by 10? Or did he know that in my schools it was less than 30%, 30%, 30%, 3 times? How does it matter now? How does it matter now? All these grade cards, good or bad, they have small half-life. They are very small half-life. Everywhere I attend meetings, NCRT, chairman, or commissioner, they call it commissioner, will give report to HRD minister that in our KVS, Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan, 95% of the students have passed the examination, 80% of students have gotten more than 90% or more than 70%, this, that. The entire evaluation of school, of educational system is based on how many students are scoring how many marks. And therefore, the whole focus of administration, management, be it private school, be it government school, be it Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan, Navodaya, whole thing is on marks. Our students should get good marks. But remember, that has a short half-life. The long half-life is how much skill you have acquired, how much thinking power you have acquired. Can you think new things? Can you think new things? Can you do innovations? If that you have learned, if the education system can do this, then you have empowered the student to live in the world happily and make the world better place than what it is now. Okay, so that's the kind of goals to be setting. That's the kind of goals to be setting. I will just stop here with this last slide. I have several slides, but I think I have taken 55 minutes. In our system, who thinks? Who thinks? The students can think, but they are trained not to think. Okay? The teachers do not think because the textbook is very nicely written. They don't need to think. Then authors. No. Authors, no. Most of huge majority of our textbooks, the authors do not think on it. Even now, many of the textbooks say that you burn a candle in a saucer plate, put water in it, and then put this inverted tumbler there, and oxygen is consumed, and water goes up, and 21% of water will go up because there is 21% of oxygen. These kind of writings in textbooks are prevailing for at least 50 years I have seen, and I don't know from when it is coming. Yesterday I did this experiment in Pondicherry, and I showed them it was hardly 10% rise. Then I asked the teachers to write in their final feedback that this hall of Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan is not good for teachers training because it contains only 10% of oxygen. textbook authors, no thinking. Whatever is going on, they are repeating. Then who is thinking? Paper setter. Barring those small number of temples of learning where actual educational enlightenment is there, one of which you are sitting in. Okay, barring that. When I was in BSc, I wanted to do all possible questions which can be asked in BSc honors. So I collected all varieties of question papers for last 30 years in Patna University. And in each paper, I could hardly come out with 20 different questions. 8 questions were set for examinations. Out of those 20 only, 8 are set in 1971, 1972, 1973. That union, that superset is just 20. If paper setters think, how come 30-year questions, the union of that is only 20 questions, and every year 8 questions are set in the paper. Okay, board, syllabus, committee, director, HRM, human resource minister, who is thinking? And most importantly, if the students are not thinking or not made to think, and teachers are not thinking, then it doesn't matter who is thinking. It doesn't matter who is thinking. If my teacher is not thinking, if my students are not allowed to think, then no matter who is thinking or who is not thinking, it doesn't matter. That system will still remain the same. So this is the last point I would like to make, and I'll just stop here abruptly. Escape. Stop. Hey, stop it. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.